nursing faculty professors who passed away on Thursday, November 15th, from a plane crash while he was volunteering on an Angel flight. For a little background, most of us knew Professor Bajian as basically the face of UC Davis Med Center, as we could not even walk down a hallway there without at least 10 people saying hi, waving, or throwing him a wave. He worked many positions there since 1986, including the emergency department, the surgical ICU, and he was a flight nurse. In 2004, he joined the Action team, and his Vocera name became Action Clay, a name he was very proud of and how most people at the hospital knew him. He retired from UC Davis last year after being an assistant nurse manager in the radiology department. Lucky for so many students, Professor Bajian joined the Sac State nursing faculty in 2008, where he taught Section 7 for their first semester clinicals at UC Davis. This is exactly where our relationship began almost 2 years ago. Shout out to Section 7. I still remember when we got our clinical assignments, and none of us had even heard his name before, so we really didn't know what to expect. Abachian probably had a good idea that we were going to keep him entertained that first semester. As our very first clinical day, we all showed up in business casual clothes, heels, and our white coats, when we were supposed to be wearing scrubs. He spent the whole day explaining to different staff on our floors that we were definitely not doctors, and that no, Sac State has not changed their clothing attire policy. All jokes aside, Professor Bajian completely molded us that first semester. He was our biggest encouragement and support system, from every anxiety attack to those nerve-wracking moments where he helped us do a spill on a patient for the first time. He gave us pep talks when we doubted ourselves or were having a bad day and we felt discouraged. He taught us head-to-toe assessments and gave us many tips on how to write nursing diagnoses and write clinical logs on our patients. One of his classics was that there is no normal. It is within defined limits. Whenever I see the word normal written on someone's hospital note, I hear his voice in my head correcting it, like many other things he instilled in us. In the 12 clinical weeks we had with him, he taught us to critically think like nurses, and he planted the seeds we needed to continue growing and developing in our practice. Professor Bajian was one of the most selfless, caring people that I have ever met. There wasn't a single day that he did not show up without a smile on his face and ready to crack jokes and tease his victim of choice that day. He radiated joy to everyone around him, and you always felt comfortable and content when he was around. This semester, during our leadership class, we talked about what defines a leader, and Professor Bajian was the definition of a leader to both his students and his coworkers. He inspired those around him. He was always willing to help and go the extra mile. He was a resource to what felt like the whole hospital, and he was the most compassionate and dedicated nurse that you would ever meet. He was so proud to be a nurse, and he was even more proud to be able to teach the profession to students and share his vast knowledge of the field. And let me tell you, this man had a lot of crazy cool stories. One of what I would say was an Abajianism is that he was very strict about the fact that his students refer to their professors by their proper title. Like, for example, if they have a doctorate. He would always talk about how impressed he was by his colleagues and how he was probably the least qualified of the nursing faculty. He set the standard for respect, and he set an example of humility in this profession, even though he was actually one of the most knowledgeable nurses you would ever meet. I was very lucky to really get to know Professor Bajian and build a personal relationship with him the last couple of years. He will always be my first clinical faculty, but he was my mentor, and most importantly, he was my friend. We had spent many hours together in and out of the hospital, talking about the nursing profession, all of those crazy stories that he loved sharing, our families, my sanity during nursing school, and life in general. He always had something smart to say, and he loved cracking jokes at people's expense. In fact, the last time I saw him was 2 days before the crash at the hospital. He was in the lobby with his current students, wrapping the day up, and I went to say hi on my lunch break. After saying hi and shaking his head at me, he proceeded to tell all of his students that they could make it, because I had to do first semester twice, but here I am. Not true. I'm gonna especially miss his sense of humor and how he would crack himself up after he made a joke. And I'm gonna miss his infectious smile and his hugs. Today, Professor Bashian was supposed to pin me. And although he isn't here in person, I know he is here in spirit watching over me and cheering me on. I can say that I never thought in a million years that he would not be here to see me graduate. But I hope I will continue to forever make him proud and be the confident nurse that he taught me to be. I hope that not only myself, but all of his students, both present and past, continue to utilize the knowledge he instilled in us and keep developing those seeds that he planted in first semester. If we could all be even half the nurse that he was, this profession is in good hands. Rest in peace, Action Clay. I can't even put into words how missed you are, but may you always live on in our nursing practice. Thank you.